What's up, guys? This is Chris Osberg with Winding Road Magazine, and I'm here with the 2017 Kia Soul electric vehicle. There it is. This is Kia's entry in the completely battery-powered BEV electric vehicle segment. Wears the very familiar outfit of the Kia Soul. Stylish, but yet practical box design. And let's take a look at this thing. Couple first comments. As I said, the familiar Kia Soul shape. What's nice about this one is there's very little compromise in the packaging department by adding the electric vehicle drivetrain. So, some electric vehicles, once you start adding the battery packs and the associated electronics, you start losing a lot of trunk space, interior space. Not so much with this one. Still have room for the charging equipment, still has a nice sized trunk, and the interior is decently roomy. Door is locked. Keyless opening here, you have to press the button. There we go. Unlock the doors. Got my stuff in the back, but overall, for a compact vehicle, plenty of room inside. Special wheels that are exclusive to the electric version of this vehicle. Let's go ahead and pop the hood. So, actually it looks a lot like a normal gasoline-powered vehicle would. You have your hardware associated with the electric drivetrain. The power electronics are up on top, electric motor, and what you could call a transmission. It's really not a transmission. It's got one gear and a differential. Sits down below. You've got your 12-volt battery, which is still necessary for energizing the system and operating the accessories. Got your wiper fluid, you've got your brake fluid, you've got all the stuff that you're used to seeing, coolant, all the stuff you're used to seeing in a regular car. But just, stuff you don't want to touch, it's bright orange. Power plug for the charging system is up front. And go ahead and pop that. There you go. Battery is in the back. It is a 27 kilowatt hour unit that promises a range, or an EPA certified range, of 93 miles. So about par for the course for the entry-level battery-powered vehicles. We're going to go ahead and take it for a drive, and I'll let you know what I think. As with most electric vehicles, there's a lot of torque from down low, so the vehicle is very responsive off the line, very responsive at lower speeds, up to 30 or 40 miles an hour. The power delivery is very seamless, very smooth. This car is no exception. The interior quality is quite nice. The fit and finish of this car is very good, I would say, especially considering it's a full electric vehicle. Often when you're dealing with the costs of the battery pack and the electronics hardware, they tend to have to cut corners on other areas of the car to make those sacrifices, and also considerations of weight. So sometimes you're left with a car that ends up feeling a bit cheap. I think for the price point of this vehicle, I think the interior is well executed. The materials are decent. It's put together nice. Overall, it's a pleasant car to ride around in. If I did have any complaints, it would be that the seats are fairly flat, non-supportive, and could be a bit more comfortable, but that is a small complaint. So I'm going to pull over and let some people pass here. Let's turn off the traction control. Okay. And let's see how this thing accelerates. Alright, so this is one of the lower powered entries into the electric vehicle segment, and you definitely feel it once you get up towards highway speeds. Around town, the acceleration is perfectly adequate to get you going, but once you're up on the highway speed range, there really isn't a lot of power left. Wind noise isn't too bad for something that has the aerodynamics of a brick. But this isn't a car that you want to buy if you see a lot of highway driving. In terms of electric vehicle specific functionality, the amount of regenerative braking is adjustable. You can have it in a basic position, you can turn on eco mode, which increases it slightly, or you can shift the transmission into full B mode, which gives you maximum regenerative braking when you let off the throttle. Personally, I prefer to have the maximum amount of regenerative braking, and what I can do then is really drive the vehicle in most conditions with one foot, meaning you don't need to use the brakes. All you do is let off the gas, and you maximize the amount of braking the vehicle does without using the friction brakes, and that's the most efficient way to drive. Wow, tire squeal already. All right, well, that brings up another point, is I really dislike low rolling resistance tires. I understand the functional reason why you'd put them on a car like this, but that doesn't mean I have to like them. Low rolling resistance tires make quite a bit of sacrifices in terms of overall grip and performance to achieve minimal rolling resistance, which obviously is at odds with grip, and what you end up with is a tire that doesn't handle so well, doesn't brake very well, and certainly doesn't handle hard cornering or enthusiastic driving without massive amounts of tire squeal, as I just demonstrated. So I'm going to make a U-turn here, get back on the highway, and we'll see how it does on the cloverleaf entry there. All right, time for a U-turn. Turning radius is quite good. All right, got a nice entry to the highway here, some corners. Jeez. Overall, the handling is not bad, considering the purpose of the vehicle. The body is well controlled. There's a bit of lean in the turns, but it's not to the point of being unsettling. The mechanical, or let's say physics advantage of most battery-powered vehicles is that the battery mass is low in the chassis of the vehicle. It's good for a low center of gravity. It tends to contribute to a very stable driving experience, and I think considering what this car needs to do, the handling isn't bad at all. It's quite okay, but it's the tires that really lead you to not want to push this thing hard. So it's not a, you know, sports car enthusiast car. It's not the intention of this thing. Gauge layout. Everything is clean, uncluttered. You get what you need to see here. You have your estimated range, which I've noticed is pretty conservative, meaning, you know, I've driven a lot of electric cars that, let's say, overstate the range or are very optimistic with how the range equates to your actual driving. This one seems to be pretty conservative, which is a nice change. Has it both graphical and numerical layout. It has your current indication on if you're using power, so that's using power, or regenerating. See, it's going back to charge. Right side is speedometer, and in the center you have a number of displays, including your energy flow, trip computer, statistics, a couple of vehicle settings, that sort of thing. HVAC controls are nicely laid out. I wouldn't say they're simple. There are a number of settings, including some EV specific things you can do with this. You can, you know, send your HVAC system to provide heat or cooling for the driver only. You can set up delayed charging or charging. You can set up the HVAC system to condition your vehicle while it's charging. So when you get to your vehicle in the morning or in the evening, when it's been sitting outside, it's already heated or cooled for you. You have heated and cooled seats, which are very nice, especially for a battery electric vehicle, because the HVAC system tends to take a significant amount of power and even range away from the vehicle. So you want to use as little of the HVAC system as possible if you want to maximize your range. You also have typical touchscreen display here. Overall, it has a number of nice features. If you hit the EV, the dedicated EV button here, brings up a number of EV specific features, including your range, with a nice little circle showing how far you can realistically drive. It's not super accurate because obviously you have to stay in a road to get to those points, but at least you have a rough idea of how far you're going to get on a charge. So hit the back button. We've got a list powered by Sirius XM of where all your charging stations are going to be nearby. So with those with range anxiety or going to be traveling outside of your battery distance, you have a nice quick list of of charging locations you can go through. And of course, battery information. So guys that like these electric cars tend to like technology and statistics and data, and there's no shortage of that here. So you've got your expected charging times broken down between 120 and 240 volts. You have a breakdown of how your electricity's been used, so between the drivetrain, the climate control, and the other auxiliary electronics in the vehicle. EV settings. You can set your warnings for your battery level. You can set your frequency of the warnings. You can set up how it handles different routes with the navigation system in terms of your available battery power. So I'm not going to go through everything here, but long story short is Kia has put some extra consideration into the electronics of the vehicle in terms of how an EV driver is going to be using this vehicle. Oh, and of course, we have a little tree which indicates how economic your driving has been. And surprisingly, I'm at an eco level of 7, which is pretty badass. So, you guys gonna beat me? Is anybody gonna beat my economic eco level of 7? Keeps track of your history, so you can see how economical you've been driving over the long run. Audio system itself is decently easy to use. Sound quality is quite honestly not that great. As I mentioned before, with electric vehicles, sometimes you have to make cost compromises in order to pay for the battery and power electronics, which are significant and usually more than a gasoline engine would be. So I would say they cut some money out of the audio system. Sound quality is only average to maybe even a little bit below average, but not a huge deal, not a deal breaker. Other interior appointments. It's got quite a large panoramic sunroof. It seems to work very nice. We've got adjustable steering modes. Got a button on the wheel for that. Sport, comfort, and normal. Overall, it just seems to change the steering effort slightly. Not a big difference. What is considerably more noticeable is this active eco button I have down here. So activating the eco feature, the eco function, changes the mapping of the acceleration pedal. So the tip-in is not so abrupt. You have a little bit less power, but basically it's a tool to help you drive a bit more economically. If you're not in braking mode, it does increase the regenerative braking. It's basically helping you to maximize the range that you have with the battery. Because electric cars tend to be so quiet, the Soul does emit a safety tone when you're in reverse. Don't know if the mic can pick up on it, but that's intended just to let people around you know that there is a car driving through the area. So Kia Soul EV electric vehicle, what do I think? Overall, I think it's a good car. I walked away actually liking it more than I thought I would. There's really nothing wrong with it. It does what it's intended to do quite well. So I'd say in a vacuum by itself, it's really a good car. The interior quality is decent. It's very usable for its size. The electric system works very well, very smooth. People would enjoy driving this thing. It makes a great city car. The quality of the vehicle itself seems to be pretty good. The styling, it depends if it's your thing or not. If you like the Soul or you like this type of box styling car, hatchback, it might be right up your alley. But why do I say it's good in a vacuum? Well, as with the world of battery powered or electric, hybrid, or fully electric vehicles, the technology is rapidly progressing. So the combination of this performance and this range, 93 miles, it isn't cutting edge for 2016 and beyond. So you have the Chevrolet Bolt, which offers a lot better acceleration performance, and it also offers about twice the range. So that's a pretty big factor. Styling is hit or miss. The Bolt is definitely a different styling direction than the Soul. The Soul is a Soul. They're not going to make it all aerodynamic and swoopy just because it's an electric car, which is kind of cool. I mean, I personally don't need an electric car that screams, hey, I got an electric car. I just want a car that works for me, that I like the styling of. It doesn't need to be an attention to getting an electric car. So you have two different opinions on that. But in terms of what you get for the money, the Kia is definitely not at the forefront. So the e-Golf is going to be more entertaining to drive. The Bolt is going to offer more utility and more usability as an electric car. But the Kia is definitely not a bad car. If you like the Kia, and you live in one of the 10 states that does sell it, because they don't offer this vehicle across the country, it definitely is worth a consideration. You should check it out if it's your thing. So, like I said, I liked it more than I thought I would, and it's got a lot going for it. So, thanks for watching. This is Chris Osberg with Winding Road Magazine. Tune in for more reviews from me and the team, as well as check out my personal channel if you're into faster cars that aren't necessarily electrically powered. And have a good one, guys. Until next time.